Let's get this party started.
A handshake is available upon request.
Thank you. May I have a handshake? Every time you find yourself here, it's because you chose to come back.
What is up, innies, outies, shake it all abouties? My name is Luke Frost. I'll be going by the name Luke F for this entire series, and my co-host John Davis. Say hi, John.
Hi, John.
He'll be going as John D. For those new to the With The Boys universe, myself and John host a casual movie podcast called Movie Time with the Boys, where we review a new movie every once in a while.
When we feel like it.
Being the huge TV fans we are, we wanted to start 2025 by doing things a little differently. So we decided to make Severance With The Boys, a weekly podcast that'll break down each episode of Season 2 of the Apple TV smash hit Severance. For those of you watching on YouTube, I just want to point out we don't usually wear suits to this thing. We were doing the whole Severance thing. I don't want people to think we're a Scientology podcast. John, did you watch Severance Season 1 when it launched?
Yeah, I think I came in like towards the end of season 1 as it was airing, and then just like watched it all in the space of a weekend, loved it at that time. And then you mentioned about doing this. I was like, yeah, that's cool. I remember everything. But decided to do a rewatch like 2 weeks ago, and there was so much stuff I didn't remember, so I'm super glad that I did.
The first time I watched it, it was watch half the season, left it 6 months to a year, and then watch the second half. And I was like,
Gotcha.
As I said, why did I sleep on this for so long? This is amazing.
So
Love
good.
the show. Before we start discussing the episode, what major questions do you want answered in season 2?
Well, are we talking theories, spoilers, everything now? Yeah.
Just big questions that were left in season 1. And
Okay. What the fuck's up with Cobel? Where is she now? What was she doing in the outie world? Why was she keeping an eye on Mark? Why did she live next door to him? What the fuck's up with that? Surely Lumen should have known that she was living next door to him. Is that a thing they do?
do you think she was pursuing Mark for a throuple?
I do not think she was pursuing Mark for a throuple. Where's Gemma gone? What's the deal with that? Where does that downwards elevator lead to? Why is it so spooky? Why is Irv painting that 1,000 times over?
Okay, I'm just going to run through the episode beat by beat to refresh our memories. So the episode starts with Mark in the elevator, and it has that running through the hall scene. He heads straight to wellness, because I guess Miss Casey's on his mind right away. After the title screen, he makes his way to MDR, and we learn that all his workmates are different. Next, Milchick walks into the office with a big bunch of balloons with Mark's face on and welcomes him back to work. On the way to Milchick's office, we run into Miss Huang, who is the new assistant manager, and she is literally a child, which is weird. Milchick is now the boss. Selvig has been fired. He informs Mark that Selvig was running a little nefarious scheme, suggests she was trying to start a throuple with Mark and his outie, which I thought was very funny. At the end of the conversation, Defiant Mark really comes out again, that Defiant Mark we were seeing throughout season 1, and he questions where his friends are, and when Milchick gives him a half-fast answer, he asks if he could hear it from them. Next, we head back to MDR, and Miss Huang comes in and wants to start the Red Ball game, where they introduce themselves, as it's a whole new team. She's really weird. When Mark says he's made 4 new friends to kind of try and covertly fit in, she says that she's not his friend, and she's a work colleague, which is just a really awkward part of the intro. You can tell on Mark's face he has a bad feeling about everything, and he starts to write out a note, and his plan is to plant it on Mark W. Right after that, it's the end of the day. Mark heads up in the elevator, and obviously in any world, it's straight back to work. As soon as he comes back down, he heads to MDR and expects his teammate to be fired, I guess, and replaced with one of his old teammates. It's not the case. Milchick has kind of convinced his new team that Mark did this, and he's trying to get them all fired. So they're immediately against him. Mark hilariously says, "I guess you haven't seen what I've done to the kitchenette yet." And they all freak out and run to the kitchenette, and Mark takes the opportunity to run to Milchick's office. In Milchick's office, he grabs the communication device, the speaker, So he communicates to the board, asking for his old co-workers. Okay, so right after that, it looks like Mark gets fired. Milchick takes him to the elevator and he's like, on you go, which I'm pretty sure he said to Selvig in season 1 after she got fired. Immediately, as soon as he steps in the elevator, he, to his surprise, steps back out and he's back at Lumen again. As soon as he steps off the elevator, he runs into Dylan. So Dylan is there. He's curious to know what happened to Mark in the outside world. Next, we see Irv pop out of the elevator, and he's right in the scene where we left him on season 1, where he's banging on Bert's door, screaming Bert. So he's all shook up. And then we see Helly, and she gets off the elevator, and her and Mark hug. It's a pretty awkward hug, I thought. But we can discuss that afterwards. As the original team heads back to MDR, they're informed by Miss Huang that Milchick is waiting for them in the break room. The team heads to the break room, and to their surprise, it's a completely refurbished, nice room. Next is possibly the most hilarious part of the episode, is an animation about their mutiny, I guess. And Milchick's really making them out to be celebrities within the company and also out of the company. In the break room, Milchick informs the team that if they start their work by the end of the day, that means they want to stay in the job, and if they don't, no hard feelings, they can leave the job, and they're good to go. Immediately after Milchick leaves, they all start sharing their stories of what happened to them in the outside world when Dylan was doing the overtime contingency. They start with Mark, who informs them all that he ran into Miss Cobel outside and that Miss Casey is his wife on the outside. Next, Helly shares her story, but interestingly, she completely lies. Doesn't mention that she's an Egan, doesn't mention that she was at the gala. She just said she was in an apartment, she lived alone, and she spoke to a gardener to tell him what was going on. Next, Irv speaks up and he questions Helly on talking to the gardener. He suggests there are no night gardeners, and she kind of awkwardly sidesteps that question. Then we move on to Irv, who kind of refuses to share his story, but he's obviously pretty chewed up by it and pretty upset by it. He ends up just leaving the room. During the walk back to MDR, Helly asks Mark about his wife. Mark says that he's gonna try and find her and get her out of Lumen. So next we see Dylan trying to convince Irv to stay. Irv's dead set on leaving. He's heartbroken. He wants to get out. So Miss Huang grabs Dylan and tells him that Milchick is waiting for him in his office. Dylan makes his way to the office, and Milchick is surprisingly nice. Tells him immediately his wife's name on the outside, which gets Dylan's interest. Milchick opens up like a secret wall in his office at the back, and inside this wall are the blueprints or all the plans for Lumen. And he shows Dylan a outie visitor center blueprint.
Yeah.
Which just hooks Dylan, and he's like, oh my god. But Milchick tells him not to tell any of his team because they might get jealous because they're all single on the outside.
Yeah.
You can already see Milchick's kind of trying to pit them against each other already. Right after that, we're back in MDR. Irv has decided to stay. He walks in. They all sit down at their computers, and it's obvious they're gonna all agree to stay and work at Lumen. Interestingly, as that scene ends, this computer screen flashes up on, I guess it's...
Yep.
Is it on Mark's screen, or is it just in general?
I think like Mark turns his computer on, but I think that's like imposed on there. I don't think Mark actually sees what we see.
Okay. So the audience sees what looks like Miss Casey in some weird holding cell or something.
Yep.
It's really strange. I can't really tell what it is. And that's the end of the episode. Okay, John, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was a great start to season 2. Really enjoyed it. It hasn't answered many to any questions, but I think that's what I love about it still, because with any good sci-fi show, they're not going to answer any questions at the first episode. They're just going to present you with more. And boy, do I have more questions. So yeah, real good. Enjoyed it. Looking forward to more. Annoyed that I don't have the answers, but I want them. I want them so bad. How'd you go on that?
I obviously loved it. I'd read a lot of reviews again, like I usually do for these things coming in. I read one bad review of this season, and interestingly, it came from IGN. Weirdly, everybody else reviewed it 4 or 5 stars. It's done really well. Like you said, a lot more questions have been introduced.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's a bad thing. And the writers have already said that they actually referenced Lost, one of our favorite shows, and said that they're not going to leave questions unanswered. They plan to answer everything. They have an answer for everything.
Good.
What's your theory on Gemma, real quick?
There's been sprinkles of things about. I didn't find these. Obviously, I've just read the internet because they're much better at finding things than myself. in some papers in Irvin's house in season one, there was because Audi Irvin is trying to find out what the fuck's going on with Lumen, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's got lists of employees and what happened. Like one of his list names is somebody's name who was in a car crash, and then it was like a note saying was the payout severance. Mark's wife also died in a car crash
Right.
and is now severed.
I completely missed that.
The only other loose attachment I have to that is that Miss Huang was a crossing guard. Maybe she got hit by a car, is now severed.
Ooh, interesting. I didn't even think about Miss Huang being anyone of relevance. I just thought that was really weird. I guess I've also read the theories on it, and the AI, artificial intelligence, robot theory is also a thing. It's just, it talks about how they've taken the consciousness of people and then put them into machines of what they used to look like. And then that's what MDR is doing. They're kind of programming these things.
Gotcha. Okay. Again, to touch on that, at the end when you see it's Cold Harbor, where you see his wife like imposed on the screen of what MDR is doing, when, you know, when they're moving the boxes and stuff. It looks like it's kind of like general kind of layout the same. And what MDR are doing when they're moving things into the boxes, it's into 4 different categories. Did you see those?
Yeah.
It's from season 1 as well, which is related to the 4 theories of Kia or something, which is like Jesus, I forgot all 4 of them now. But it stands for like DR is for dread and things like that, where they're moving the numbers into like sort of like as if they are programming something. So that kind of feeds into your AI theory, I guess.
Interesting, yeah. We do know from previews that Miss Selvig is coming back. I think it's okay to say that. She's just not in this episode, which is interesting. And it's funny how Milchick was so hateful of her, I guess. And he's really throwing her under the bus in every way possible.
Yeah.
And the scene where his computer screen is like, "Welcome, Miss Cobel."
Yeah.
And he's like trying to get them to change it, and he's getting angry that it's not changed. That's just a really interesting scene on Milchick as well.
Which leads into, so how they said that 5 months has passed. How do you feel about 5 months being passed?
So I think there has been time passed. I don't know if it's longer or less than they're saying. But obviously the paper that Milchick shows them of them being celebrities is completely photoshopped and fake.
It's it's called the Kia Times or the Kia Chronicle or something like that. So yeah.
And he snatches it away really quick. But someone screen capped that online, and you can see it's a photo that was of Roosevelt's.
The JFK thing, isn't it?
No, they thought it was. It was Roosevelt's trip to Brazil, and they.
Oh really?
Yeah, someone found it. It's just really badly photoshopped them 4 and stood in the car.
Yeah, it's the 4 of them from their group photo, isn't it? Just in a car
from the office photo.
Yeah,
it's really funny. So what's your theory on the 5 months?
So I don't think it's been 5 months. I think like there's things like when he's running at the start and he runs past the extra office that they were setting up for the new people, still exactly the same. Milchick's getting pissed off because his screen is saying Miss Cobel. Surely in 5 months they would have changed that. These kinds of little things. The new employees are there. They said they've only been there for a few days. When Mark meets them, Mark W and all that, they literally said they've been there for a few days. So I don't think it's been 5 months. I think it's been way less.
Interesting.
I don't know how long, but those little things led me to believe that 5 months is definitely not past.
Okay, let's maybe talk about Helly, because this is, for me, the most interesting part of the episode.
Let's talk about Helly or Helena, shall we?
Yeah. I'm going to throw out my theory first, and I'm assuming it's the same as yours.
Okay,
that's not Helly. No chance. Several things. The hug when she gets off the elevator at the start is really awkward with Mark. Like, she wasn't expecting it. She's like, and this is just after kissing him in the previous scene.
Necked him in the last scene.
Yeah, so it's that was just a weird thing for me. Also, someone pointed this out, and I did read this. I didn't see this myself. At the end, when they're all turning on the computers, she's like kind of fiddling to find the switch, whereas Helly would have known where it is right away.
Yeah, 100%. Because they focus on it. They show everybody else do it one time, don't they? And then they show her going,
yeah,
there it is. Yeah,
very sneaky. She points out several times that there's no cameras, no microphones now. So she's like trying to encourage them to speak. She's asking them personal questions. I'm assuming you feel the same about this?
100%, yeah. That, like, her story was trash. She didn't even try and make it what she was just like, oh, I'm just blah, 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 blah. I was in my sweatpants in a room. And then, like, one quote she did say was, the world's not built for us out there or something along those lines. It's not for us. Was something that she said. I'm with you. I think she's in there as Helena, as a plant to get all the information and see what the fuck's going on.
And to probably to calm the waters as well, make them all feel safer down there.
Yeah, because she was like one of the main ones that helped the uprising last time by trying to kill herself and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I think them seeing her as more calm, relaxed, doing the job may keep them in there type thing.
All right, interesting. We'll see how that develops, I guess. Dylan is hilarious in this episode, just carrying straight on from season 1. He's amazing.
He's always the comic relief. He's funny throughout. One thing I do want to point out that they may be leading towards is a possible Dylan betrayal.
Yeah, seems that way.
Yeah, because they're giving him they're slowly feeding him information that he thinks he wants, like the family stuff and the outie visiting center. So they're clearly building Dylan to maybe have a betrayal streak in them that, we'll let you see your family if you tell us what Irvin's pants are today or something.
Yeah. It's talked about a lot in season 1 recaps, but it's so funny how they're treated like complete children down there.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, oh, you do this for us and you get all these rewards, all these perks.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the new perks, which look terrifying as well. They tie you up while you do pineapple bobbing.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. I guess it is a thing to have your hands behind your back when you do apple bobbing, but pineapple bobbing is something.
But surely you trust someone to put their hands behind their back. You don't have to tie them up.
Yeah, that's true. It's weird that they included that in the animation. Speaking of the animation,
loved it.
That was great.
Yep. Did you pick up on the voice of the building?
No, I was trying to figure out who it was.
Keanu Reeves.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100%. I was watching. I was like, wait, is that Keanu? Like, Em was like, she was like, I don't know, maybe. I think so. I was like, it has to be Keanu.
That's incredible.
Yeah, they got Keanu Reeves to voice the building.
Amazing. I thought when he first started speaking, I was like, I wonder if they use Ben Stiller for this again, because I know in the first season he was the voice of
Kia, wasn't he, in the animated thing?
Yeah, Kia in the weird flying animation.
Why do you think they've come back in? What's your theories on why they're back in? I like Mark. We get it's because presumably Outie Mark wants to find out what the hell is going on with his wife being in there. Helly, we think, is because she's just a plant. But why do you think Irv and Dylan come back?
Mark and Haley I agree with. I think I saw in a preview, Mark's sister tells him what he said during the party, and I think that's convinced him to go back. Haley, I think we're pretty confident saying she's a plant. Irv, I think he's gone back in because he's so dead set on exposing the company. Yeah. Based on what we saw.
Which I love, because his Audi is just the complete opposite of his Innie then, isn't it? Because his Innie's all corporate and we love Kia and all this kind of stuff. And then his Audi is like trying to burn the place to the ground, which is great.
Yeah. Dylan, I don't know. Dylan's a weird one. I don't know why he would go back in after having that kind of weird crossover that he had, and he didn't have the second Audi experience like the rest did.
No, he didn't. So I think it's confusing why he didn't go back straight away, because his Audi was unaware of the whole thing, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I played around with the theory yesterday, but it doesn't make sense the more I think about it, that they were all plants apart from Mark. But I don't think that's the case, because they wouldn't have had Dylan and Irv having that private conversation.
No.
I think with Dylan, it could be something as simple as they offered him a lot of money to go back.
I presume it'd be something like that, yeah, because he's got a family, he's got a kid, so I presume he's probably there just for the money more than anything.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, John, I want your predictions for the season based on absolutely nothing. I want 3 predictions from you.
Okay. Can I, because from seeing the trailer and stuff, am I okay to pick theories that I have? Okay, perfect.
They can be small ones, they can be big ones, whatever.
Gotcha. So, in the trailer, we see Mark waking up on the table a few times in different clothes. So I think he's been severed a few times. I think perhaps like after an uprising or something like that, as inside, as long as it doesn't go outside, perhaps they just wipe your memory and you start again. So I think something like that is in the mix. Personally, I think that's a big one that we may discover.
Okay, so are we severing for Mark?
Yeah, something about the Egans. They're trying. Are they cloning people? Are they trying to put their severed memories into like younger bodies, all these kinds of stuff is I think is cool and interesting theories that we'll hopefully touch upon.
Okay. I need one more prediction.
Another prediction for me is that they'll meet another team down this. We've met MDR and the art team. I can't remember what they were called, but I think they'll meet another department down there, and something weird will be going on. Maybe some more goats.
All right. My 3 predictions. Number 1 is Rickon will write another book, or enough time has passed for him to already have another book out. Number 2, I predict that Dylan's outie visitor center is not his family when he meets them.
Ooh.
It's going to be actors, I think, and we'll see that because we'll see his outie in this season. It's going to be a completely different family.
He did meet his kid in season 1, though, didn't he?
He did. That's a good point, but it might just be his wife or something that shows up, but it's not going to be his wife.
Yeah, because he mentioned the wife's name, didn't he? Gretchen or something. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't think it's going to be his wife.
Good foreshadow.
Number 3, I haven't really thought about this. Number 3.
Glad you asked for 3, mate.
All right, so my 3rd prediction is that Miss Cobel is going to be working with the Innies to try and expose Lumen, or maybe just band against Milchuk because they seem to just despise each other.
So you think that she's going to band with the outies? See, I think she's still big for Kia and such because she had that shrine down in her basement and she was singing like the weird girls' school thing. I think she's DTF for Lumen and Kia.
DTF. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think there's going to be some collaboration between her and the Innies for sure, but to what extent, who knows? Okay, that pretty much sums up our recap of Severance Season 2, Episode 1, Hello, Miss Cobel. Next week, we have a little perk for you guys. We'll be introducing a guest to our waffle party. No confirmation yet on who that's going to be. It'll be a nice surprise. Thanks to everyone who listened in this week. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or you can watch us on YouTube. Just before we wrap up, I want to extend a huge thank you to Orhan Aydin, who once again designed and created us this amazing intro tune for our podcast.
Yeah.
He did it for Movie Time with the Boys, and now he's doing it for Severance with the Boys. You can check out Orhan's work at oayd.photo on Instagram. He has a lot of photography and videos and songs on there, so check him out, and we'll put links in the show notes. So once again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next Sunday for episode 2, and in the meantime, praise Kia.